Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to a brand new episode of Extraordinary Talks. And for today's video, we have a very special guest, and this is going to be a very special episode because it's officially the closing moment for the interviews with Miss Universe Philippines candidates, at least for 2022, of course. And this is a very special moment, you guys, because if I'm being honest, this is the candidate that has been the most requested for the entire season. And of course, judging by the title of the video, even for the people in the chat, you already know that I'm talking about Vanessa Caro, who is currently representing Ilo Ilo Province. There are so many things that we want to find out about Vanessa, whether it's about her experience, whether it's about the entire Miss Universe journey, and what she has prepared for the last segment of the competition. So, if you want to know more about her and get to know her better, please stick around. And I hope that you enjoy our interview together. As usual, the only thing that I'm going to ask from you is that you leave a like on our video, that you share it with friends and family who might be interested in Vanessa's story as well. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this one almost every single day. So I will see you with Vanessa right after the intro. Please stay tuned. Well, hello, hello to my extra special guest. Wait, I think we're having a little technical problem here. Hello. There you are. How are you doing, Vanessa?
There I am. Hi, Louis. Thank you so much for having me here tonight. I'm doing well. I actually just got back from our trip in vegan together with the Miss Universe Philippines organization. So I have to say, I'm a bit tired. I'm really excited to be here.
Oh, yes. We're more than happy to have you here with us. And of course, it's something that we have been planning for quite some time, and we're finally able to make it happen. Yes. So before we get
Yes.
into the interview and the questions, I just want to acknowledge very, very quickly to everyone here in the chat joining us to watch us live. Thank you, everyone, for being here with us. Already 150 people just from the beginning. How does it feel to have like so many people rooting
Wow.
for you, Vanessa?
Um, it's overwhelming. I'm so happy, and I can't believe that, people are actually rallying, behind the Miss Iloilo province sash.
Yes.
I've been looking forward to this moment for quite some time, and I did want to take, a few years to myself, and it has led to this very incredible moment of being able to represent my province. So I just have to say I'm so grateful to everyone, not just people in Iloilo, which are my fellow Ilonggos, but also Filipinos all over the Philippines and the world, the universe.
The universe rather. I love that, and I feel just being someone like part of the audience, someone who just talks to the fans constantly and is constantly like doing research about the pageant. I just feel the hype around you and how much people appreciate you. What is it about you think that makes people gravitate towards you so much?
Well, I don't necessarily think people gravitate towards me, but I do think that they see themselves represented in me. Simply because when I do my work, I always try to look out for the best interests of others, and I hope that people feel represented when they see me. Because at the end of the day, this opportunity of being a part of the Miss Universe Philippines organization is all about representation, and I know that every person may say, oh, you have such a perfect life, or it seems like you don't have any problems, but to be honest with you, I'm just trying to make sure that everyone feels accepted and supported, and that when they look at me, they see themselves, and that they see that their province is being represented well as well.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the most important things, representation and making sure that we also show people that it's not just, like the glamorous lifestyle of a beauty queen, but there's also, like a lot of struggles to get where you are and to be in the position that you're in as of right now. So we appreciate everything that you're doing, and you're doing amazing anyway. So. So
Thank
before we
you.
get into like more serious questions and stuff, I just want to ask you, what is your state of mind
Mhm.
as of right now in the competition? We know that we're just about to witness, like in a few hours, the national costumes. Prelims is right across the corner, and then coronation night. So, what's going through your mind right now?
Say the least. We're finally going to go on stage, and the fact that, both events, both the preliminary competition and the final night is going to be live, it's nerve-wracking. But right now, honestly, for my entire duration of this competition, it's been gratitude. Gratitude has been my state of mind, because again, I've been given such a wide or huge opportunity to represent, my province, and the fact that, I'm going into this competition with a grateful heart, it makes things so much easier because I know that people are there to support me no matter what the outcome is.
Absolutely. And I think that it really shows, that um, there's for some reason, like, people have been really being able to connect with you, and there's just like a lot of love and support. I see it all the times, like in my comment section, whenever we talk about the topics, whenever we talk about, and not that is really relevant, because I feel like topics is just a way for like the vloggers and the fans to talk about the competition, but it doesn't really change anything about the candidates themselves or what they can do in
Mhm.
the competition. But um, it's just overwhelming to see like how many people are rooting for you, and uh, everything that they're expecting from you as well. Does that add like pressure to like your journey, or how does that make you feel to know that people are, expecting for you to do so well?
Yes, of course. It definitely adds a lot of pressure. I received some comments from a lot of people, and I think I mentioned this in a previous interview, but I do read all of the comments. I try my best to listen to
Oh,
everyone and keep an open mind, especially when it comes to, communication skills, or, my styling, or something that I wore yesterday or something that I'm going to do tomorrow. I think it's so important that, if I am where I am today, I leave time to listen to the messages that come my way. But it does add pressure. But I think the most important thing for me to continuously remind myself of is that the purpose will always be greater than what we portray ourselves as human beings externally, because the
yes.
internal purpose is always to empower every single person that looks to us as delegates or representatives of our provinces or our cities. And as long as people feel that the purpose is being carried out together with the organization, then I think you'll be able to have a more stable mind and a stronger platform when you're ready to go on that stage.
I love it. 100%. I agree with you. It's all about, feeling ready and the journey, and just putting in the work. So let's talk a little bit about your pageant journey up
Yes.
until now. So you were Miss Ilo Ilo Dinagyan in 2016. Please correct my pronunciation if I'm wrong.
Yes.
Uh, how did you prepare for a comeback, after 6 years?
Yeah. So, just to give you a little bit of insight, I won Miss Ilo Ilo Dinagyang back in 2016. So, previously it was Miss Dinagyang, and now they moved over to an entirely different pageant and rebranded it to Miss Ilo Ilo, which is totally fine. But back then, that was what, in terms of preparing myself for the competition today, I would say, I had to take some time for myself to, you know, broaden my knowledge through my professional career, my master's degree, and just living in a new state, in a new country, and an entirely different environment than the Philippines, and that was in New York City. So when I did that, I feel like for the past 3 years, I've been able to, not just strengthen my mental capabilities, but run a marathon, get involved with more organizations and communities that are passionate about charity, or just be human. and experience life, because when I did win in back in 2016, I did have to hold and set a certain example for other people and be a role model, which was great. But at the same time, I also sacrificed a little bit of my personal life, and I
Of
also did
course.
some healing as well, because my father passed away back in 2015, and when he passed, I joined a pageant right away to help me cope up with the stress. So I think I really needed those 3 extra years just to be myself, truly myself.
Yes, I agree with you. And of course, going through something so personal and also just like experiencing life at the same time, I think it talks about how much girls really have to give up sometimes in life to be part of the pageant. Which of course the pageant comes with its own set of things that they might be able to achieve and goals and all of that, but there's also a lot of sacrifice that goes into a pageant. So
Yes, there is. And I also wanted to prepare myself more so that I could, be an example to others that would look up to me. And I think that there are a few girls that do look up to me. And if I wasn't, prepared as a woman, I wouldn't be able to inspire others that, look to me for strength. So that was really important.
absolutely, absolutely, I agree with you. And of course, it shows like all the hard work is really paying off because look at you right now, you're doing so amazing. So
Thank
this
you.
is
I'm trying.
so this is gonna be a little bit of an obvious question, but I still feel like I need to ask you, what made you want to go precisely for Miss Universe Philippines? Because Philippines is like a pageant country. There are so many different options. Why Miss Universe Philippines precisely?
To be quite frank with you, I never really took pageantry seriously back then. I thought, okay, it's a bunch of ladies or women that are joining, an event, and they win, and then they are beautiful for the rest of their life. But after I saw, our own queens here in the Philippines, win, Miss Universe, and I've seen that the organizations that they worked with were purposeful, really made a difference. And we're not just beacons of hope for Filipinos, but really made an impact to the livelihoods that our Filipinos, go through every single day. That really inspired me and ignited some sort of passion that aligns with my values. And it's so important that everything that I stand for aligns with what the Filipinos need. And that really inspired me to join Miss Universe Philippines, and hopefully, be a representative of our country as well. Because at the end of the day, Filipinos have so much to offer, and it's always the reason why I say, I'll always keep the Philippines as the first choice.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And I wanted to ask you, ever since you joined Miss Universe Philippines, I think that we talked a little bit about this just before we went live. How does it make you feel that you have been kind of like crowned, named the dark horse of the competition up until this point? Do you think that's a compliment or not?
It's a very big compliment. There are a lot of comments on the dark horse term, but the fact that I'm being recognized for my strengths. To be quite honest with you, Lewis, I moved to Manila for this competition, temporarily, and I had basically zero to no connections. Went through the process from step one to where I am today. Whether that was applying with my camp, going through the training that I needed to undergo, meeting the people that I wanted to meet so that I could also continuously build my team. Everything that I've done has been done organically, and the people that I've met along the way and the supporters that I've gained have been done organically. Nothing has been faked or whatsoever. So, that in itself is endearing, the dark horse term, because at least I know that what I'm doing is right and that people resonate with it. So thank you to everyone who considers me a dark horse. That means I'm doing something.
Absolutely. I actually made like an entire video about it, and I thought like I really wanted to take a moment to talk about it because I thought, when you look at the trend like for the past few years in Miss Universe Philippines, it's always a girl who is considered to be a dark horse. So I feel like it's really not a negative thing. It's really an empowering term. It means like people see the potential in you and they see that you have what it takes, and that sometimes like the girls are maybe like new to pageantry or don't have like the huge following or support system, but that doesn't take away from their potential. So yes, embrace the term because it's really amazing.
You embrace
Yes, for sure. um so one of the things, okay, so now we're talking about like the nice things that people say about you, and like all of that, the compliments. But of course, with any pageant, there's always a little bit of critique that comes back, and people who don't like you as much. One of the things that I've
Yeah.
heard about you, like especially in the comment section or that I read maybe on Instagram bloggers and stuff, people always tend to say, um, like her beauty belongs in a different pageant. Like perhaps if she joined like a different national pageant. But we know that Miss Universe Philippines has been so inclusive for the past few years. They have been really like breaking boundaries for women. So how does that make you feel when people say such things about you?
Well, um, I'd say that it's also a compliment about the fact that they think that I can join another pageant or my face, has a certain beauty for those pageants. But I think the wonderful thing about Miss Universe or the Miss Universe Philippines organization is that they stick true. They're true to their core about breaking barriers. And this year's theme of being uniquely beautiful resonates with me because yes, I do get messages that you should join a different pageant. You should pursue different opportunities. But again, while people are judging physical beauty, it's so important to judge inner beauty. Is the delegate genuine? Is she authentic? Is she confident? Does she believe in the causes that she's really advocating for? So I think that when we look at the entire picture and what we have to offer to the Miss Universe stage, then everything comes into play. And it makes us realize, that we need to stop judging women for their outer appearances and rather what they can offer to the people that they are representing and the organization that they're applying to. So I take those comments neutrally, and I respect everyone's opinion, and I don't feel like I have to prove anything to anyone, because at the end of the day I know that my heart is genuine and my purpose is true to my core.
Oh, mic drop, everyone. Yes, I agree with you like 200%. Honestly, I think that actually if you're getting that type of comments, I think that you're doing something right. My favorite artist of all time, she always says artists are here to disturb the peace. And I feel like this also applies to beauty queens, because you're here to break boundaries. And of course, when you are taking people out of their comfort zone and when you are showing them something different, it's always going to make people uncomfortable, and they're going to want to put you in a box. They're going to want to put you in a different category. But just you being there and being persistent, it just shows that you have what it takes and that you can do it as well.
Thank you. Thank you. That means
Yes,
a lot coming from you.
absolutely. Absolutely. I mean it like from the bottom of my heart. So, Vanessa, now with the preliminary competition, just like in a few days, coronation as well. Let me ask you, how are you preparing mentally and physically for this last part of the competition?
Oh, well, a lot of time with my family. We're actually given one rest day today, and I'm very
Oh,
grateful for that. A lot of people would probably say, working out, meditating, and yes, those are very important. But the people that really ground me are my family, and they've been with me from day one. And I'd call my sisters and I'd say, "Hey, what are you guys doing? How are my nieces doing? They just went to Disney World the other day." So I'd ask them, "Tell me about these moments," because I want to hear about them. Because when I talk to them, it removes me from my current situation, and it connects me with, a little bit of the reality of life. Because sometimes I can be very in my head, thinking about, oh, I have to do this and I have to do that and I have to be beautiful and I have to make sure that gown is perfect. But and I remember, the real problems, that people face on a daily basis. Not saying that I don't have problems, but the daily struggles that people face. I remember, why I'm here and who I'm doing this for and what I'm doing it for. So that's how I stay grounded, is spending time with the people that I love, that support me and know me for who I am, because it reminds myself that, I am special as a person and other people are special too. We just need to open our minds and open our eyes.
I think we're having a little problem with the connection, but I think you're back now, so it's all good. That's the most important thing.
Back now.
Uh, it's all good. I think like there was one comment, like people in the chat were asking, Vanessa, if you won, how would you address the connection issues in the Philippines?
uh, we'll get back to you.
That's a good one, right? I don't know. Um, so, I mean, judging by, once again, uh, judging by previous years and the experiences of previous title holders such as Rabia Mateo, Beatriz Luigi Gomez, we have seen that, of course, when they win the title, there's an overwhelming amount of love. There's also a lot of pressure. Do you feel like if you were to be crowned the next Miss Universe Philippines, how would you handle that pressure as well? The knowing that it's not just your province that you're representing at that point, but that you have the weight of an entire country on your shoulders.
Yeah, absolutely. I empathize with, our previous winners, because they were faced with a lot of pressure. Rabia, who I used to model with, she received a lot of pressure. And I actually had the chance and the opportunity to watch her preliminary competition in Florida. And she did an incredible job. And I'm so proud of her. And of course, Miss Bea, who did an incredible job this year as well and received, the top 5 award in Miss Universe. I think that, handling pressure comes with more education. We need to prep ourselves through education, and that's educating ourselves about, our language here in the Philippines, our geography, the cultures that every single region in the Philippines stands for, and especially the ways of life. So once we get a solid understanding about our entire country, then, we're more prepped to inspire ourselves through the gowns that we choose, or the answers that we're going to portray, or how we're going to say our name on the international stage. So when we equip ourselves with knowledge, I think that's the best way to, start moving forward and start actually planning for the real work, because then we'll be able to gather the Filipinos and ensure that they're being represented well. So I think as long as we go through that route, then we'll be in an okay spot.
I agree with you. I guess that it's really, that's like the key of it all: education, and also just having like a strong support system, not only as you said with your friends and family, but also within the organization as well, especially for a title holder, like someone who is already crowned. So important, because they will be, under a magnifying glass.
Mhm.
Everyone will be like looking at them and talking about what they expect, what they want, and not everyone is on the same page. So people expect different things from you. But if you are confident, if you are sure of your preparation, then you can only do the best that you can offer, and hope for the best.
Yes,
So
absolutely. And I do also want to say, that this Miss Universe Philippines organization pageant itself was a lot, because we do have a lot of pressure on our shoulders. People expect a lot from us. We get direction from many different personalities that come our way and tell us, you should do this and you should act like this and you should be this person. But when in reality, I was on the plane today from vegan, and I realized, all I have to be is myself. And the moment you start to stray away from being yourself, that's when things start to go haywire. So we need to remember, I think, as delegates, and it's just people ourselves, that we don't need to listen to other people's perceptions. We can take constructive criticism wisely, especially if it's for our own benefit, but we don't have to listen to every single thing that people try to throw our way just to make us feel that we need to be someone else in order to be our best self.
Absolutely, so true. And it just comes with like knowing yourself and knowing who you are and what you can deliver. So I couldn't agree more with you. By the way, before we move on to other questions, I just want once again to thank everyone for joining us. We are at 330 viewers as of right now. I see all the love that people are sending you in the chat as well. So, you guys, if you have some questions for Vanessa, I'm going to encourage you to leave them in the chat. And towards the last part of the interview, we'll be going through some of the questions. Okay. So, all right.
Yes.
So, I mean, with just everything like it's going to unfold in just a few days, and we'll get to see your walk. We'll get to see your gown. We'll get to see your national costume, without revealing anything compromising. Of course, that is going to ruin the surprise. What can we expect as pageant fans for what you have prepared for us?
That's such a hard question because I honestly haven't thought about, my answer to this, to be quite frank with you, because I wanted it to be as genuine as possible.
Yes.
Um, but all I have to say is just wait.
Okay. Surprise. I respect that. I
Just
respect that. I think
it's a
that.
surprise. Because if I think
Yes, absolutely. Something that I always tell the girls, like I always mention when I add this question, don't tell me anything too revealing or something that is going to ruin it. Because I know, like, of course, it's not just the beauty queen's effort, but there's an entire team of people that comes together to make it possible, right? So we always want to still keep that surprise element. And I'm sure that whatever route you're going with the styling, with the colors, with what you're going to showcase, is going to be incredible because there's so much history and so much culture and like just amazing things that you can showcase, especially in Ilo Ilo province. So I'm sure that it's going to be incredible.
thank you.
So looking back at your pageant journey, so now I'll show you a photo. I want you to just take it in and reflect and look back. So if I show you this photo, these are some of the moments of you
Okay.
during the competition, whether it's the introduction photo when we first got to see you officially as a candidate, swimsuit presentation, the gala night that just happened a few days ago, your headshot challenge as well. So what comes to mind when you look at yourself and the way that you have grown in the competition so far?
I would say wide-eyed, full of hope, full of hope. Just because those days were all crazy days. My team and I would go back and forth in different concepts, but what really made things push through is just by staying true to ourselves and seeing what really felt closest to me and what would represent Ilo Province the best way possible. And of course, myself and my values. So I would say that, hopeful would be the words for those challenges, because those challenges happened, and that gala, those challenges in particular happened before I was announced for the top 30. And when I was announced for the top 30, it was definitely a nice feeling, a nice moment that I got to share with my team. So hopeful is the word.
Oh, that's so cute. And at the same time, you guys like like the girls put like so much effort into everything that they do, whether it's the photo shoots, the videos, and just the content that they share with the fans as well. So, and you really went the extra mile. May I ask you, when you were
Mhm.
preparing for the competition, especially for the online challenges, right? When you have to have the photos and you have to make the videos, which one was the most challenging for you?
Oh goodness. Hmm. I want to say the tourism video, but because I had such an incredible team, it wasn't that hard as people think it was because we really tried our best to make that those 2 days. We shot the tourism video in 2 days. So we really tried our best to maximize time and really meet every single person that we wanted to meet. So I would say the most challenging one is was the runway challenge. We had to yeah. That was on the sand. So we had to travel to the beach area within, within our province. So that was challenging in itself. But it was memorable. I think it was received well by the public. So
Yes,
yes, the runway challenge for sure.
I remember that. Walking on sand was definitely something that we were not expecting.
Yeah. So and another reason why it's the most challenging was because I told my team, this is what I'd like to challenge. And they looked at me like I had 5 heads. They said that like, no, why would you do that? Why would you do that to yourself? And I said, you know what? It's never been done before. And I think that, people would find it interesting. They know what it's like to be on sand. So anyways, we did it. And I'm happy we did it.
Yes, for sure. And just judging here by the comments in the chat section, everyone agrees as well. Like you did so well for the runway video, but also the tourism video. If I recall properly, when I did my review of the tourism videos, like I gave you the number one spot because I really felt like you were able to capture, like the essence, everything from the people, the food, the culture, the traditional costumes, everything like what they wear. So it was just like so complete. So congratulations to you and your team as well, because of course without them it wouldn't be possible.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you
Um,
so much. That means a lot.
of course, deserved. So may I ask you now in the competition, as we said in the beginning, we have like the dark horses, we have like the veterans, people, always talk about candidates who maybe make a comeback. When it comes to the competition, who are maybe like, yeah, can you give us a few names of candidates that you look up to or people that you have been able to bond with and get close to them?
Yeah, absolutely. So I definitely bonded with the ladies of my camp. That's a given.
Mhm.
Of course, we have Jadida. We have the beautiful Pauline Amalinks. But the person that I did get to know a little bit more was our former Miss World, Michelle D. And we talked about everything from cryptocurrency all the way to her farm in Maui that she's had for 3 years now. I was so delighted to learn that. I'm from Hawaii and I appreciate people that appreciate Hawaii as well. But
Yes,
yes, it was definitely a nice time to get to know each other from a woman to woman basis and just talk about our passions aside from pageantry. And yeah, I enjoyed really getting to know her a little bit more.
absolutely. We had her here on the channel for an interview, and as you said, like she was so like incredible. We were talking about cryptocurrency and NFTs and stuff that I was really not expecting. Like at some point, I felt like, oh my god, like she really came prepared. So yes, and both of you have like very beautiful, smart girls. So we love to see like the sisterhood and just girls, strong woman bonding. We love that, supporting one another.
Of course. And the fact that, she's a previous title holder as well makes me look up to her because, she knows what it's like to also compete on an international stage. And, I think that's a few things that we should take note of as well.
Absolutely. So let's say, without taking into consideration, of course, the competition aspect of it, right? So just thinking of girls that you love and that you got close with during the competition, who would you like to see with you within the top
Mhm.
five, let's say?
Oh, it's so hard because over this trip we've seen each other's strengths even during that press conference at the
Yeah.
Capitol in Ilocos Sur. Um, but I would actually love to see. There isn't specifically certain people that I would like to see. It's more about I'd like to see women with the same values that I share, which is to give back to the Filipino people and always stand for the organizations and the advocacies that the organization stands for. I want to see people with genuine hearts, and I want to see people that are ready to take action with their title and their responsibility. So I don't once I think that fate itself will determine who's going to be in the top five. But that's what I really hope to see because at the end of the day, when it's time for us to, or if I get the chance to be in the top five, when it's time for us to present ourselves to the Philippines, and when we continue doing our own charity work, we're going to have to be working together on a daily basis. So it's important that each of us have the same mission and the same vision of sharing, the goals of the Filipino people.
Absolutely. I agree with you. And something that I learned myself as a pageant fan, I'm a new like pageant fan. Actually, people think that I've been doing this forever because I have a channel and like I comment about pageants. But I actually my very first pageant that I
Yes.
experienced like in real time was Miss Universe 2020 with Rabia Mateo. And at that point, Rabia was like my bias, and I was like, she's gonna win the entire thing and all of that. And something that you learn as you go is that you have to learn to appreciate all candidates and give them all like an equal chance because you
Hmm.
never know what's going to happen. You never know who's going to perform well during the Q&A swimsuit. There are so many different things to take into consideration. So the best approach for a pageant is just to support everyone equally, see, of course, take into consideration the strengths and the weaknesses of the candidate, but regardless, give them props for even putting themselves in that position that is, can be so intimidating. So
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you.
and talking about the pageant and purpose and just bonding with incredible women, what can you tell us about what are your hopes to do with this platform, with your advocacy, and how do you plan to use your voice?
Of course. So I've always been involved in, helping organizations and doing my personal work with, the less fortunate and the underprivileged. My family has been a part of the Rotary Club for the longest time. And until this very day, I still keep in touch with them, even though, I'm here in Manila pursuing the pageant. But if you were to ask me about one thing aside from, animal cruelty or environmental issues or youth development, it would have to be women empowerment. And I know that we always hear the term women empowerment, but it's a very critical thing happening in our world right now. We need to talk about it more because as bearers of our future generation, we need to have our women, equipped with every single resource and tool to be able to upbring, the next generation into this world. And I've seen so many women start to progress, whether they have children or not, whether they're independent, whether they're single moms, or, whether it's about gender inclusivity, or whether it's about their careers or how they choose to live their lives. I think the number one thing is we need to remove the perception of other people's opinions about us and truly live life the way we want to live it. Because when we start to add limitations to our own personal waters get murky. And that's when we start to doubt ourselves. And I've spoken to a few of the delegates during, my time in this pageant, and a lot of them have the same concerns. They share the same struggles that I share, and what we need to do in order to make it more relevant or allow people to talk about it more, is to educate ourselves and be communicative and vulnerable. And that's something that I really struggled with, in my teenage years, is that I didn't feel that, I could be open. I didn't feel that I could be my true self. And when there are women, hopefully like myself, that opens myself up to other people, to remember that, we have, our insecurities as well, and that it's okay to feel the way that you feel. You just need to go through the journey in order to go through life. And that's something that I'm very passionate about. And while I was in Ilo Ilo Province before I came into this pageant, I had the chance to work with like-minded organizations in the corporate landscape and in the charitable landscape as well.
That's incredible. I think it's such an important conversation. And like you said, like I feel like sometimes people tend to just throw like female empowerment into like the general, basket. But I feel like there are so many different ways to empower women, first of all. And this is something that everyone needs to be educated about, not just women and girls. Even men need to be educated about these things, because I personally think, for example, myself, uh, I am, a man, but I think of my mom, I think of my cousins, I think of my friends, and I would like for them to have equal opportunities when it comes to access to education, or um, in their workplaces, in terms of equality, in terms of financial possibilities. So there are so many different layers that sometimes I think that people don't really take into consideration when we talk about women empowerment. But it's a very, very necessary conversation, so I applaud you for putting all that work in.
Yeah. Thank you. And just to touch a little bit more on that and give an example, it's so
Mhm.
important that, our indigenous community also feels supported, because, some of them aren't given the right access to resources and tools to know that, we can do this, we can progress together, and there needs to be more action involved in order to help them, progress into the fields that they want to progress in, whether that's in education, whether that's allowing themselves to be heard, hopefully role models that they look up to. So I I hope to bring more light to this before the competition comes to progress as well.
Absolutely. I really hope that you're able to use this platform, for that particular cause. And it's a very good point, the one that you just made. Sometimes we tend to, when asked questions, we tend to look within ourselves and think of how we can relate to it, and the things that, how we can work on, the things that affect us. But there's also like groups of people out there who might have it even worse. So using the platform to bring visibility to those issues, and just to, try to make it better for not just ourselves, but also those like other groups and minorities, um, it's a really, really, really important. So once again,
Yes.
we love you for it.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna take some of the questions from the audience. So you guys, if you're watching this live, please, it's now the moment to send some of your questions. I saw like a few interesting ones here, so we'll go through some of them. Okay, let me just find it very quickly. Okay, here it is. So this question is coming from ES, asking, how would you show the world how Filipinos love pageantry and how they took pride for it?
Yeah, so I'd show the world how Filipinos love pageantry by the way we portray ourselves as delegates, and by showing the work that truly goes into every single delegate that steps on stage to represent their provinces or their cities. It takes a village for us ladies to even get to where we are today, and it's not just us alone in this battle for greatness. It's also about, uplifting our communities that are behind us, including the creative industry and the textile industry. And I think that's something that, our organization is also highlighting more, which is our creative industry, and, uplifting them to truly become beacons of progress. Because at the end of the day, when we look at pageantry, we don't just look at, one single candidate. We go through the intricate details of how she presents herself, through her tourism video, the culture that she brings with her when she steps on stage with her gown, the words that she speaks. Is it, genuine? Does it come from, the heart? Does it come from as a Pinay at heart? Does it resonate, or does it translate the Filipino way of speaking? So just by being able to bring that to the international stage and showing the passion that we have as Filipinos, we can really show to the world how much pride we have for pageantry. And it's just like any other sport, like basketball or boxing, which we've placed historically in. Um, it's safe to say that I think Filipinos know what they're doing.
Yes, absolutely. I really wanted to ask you that question when I saw it in the group chat, because I thought, you had this experience that you have lived in the Philippines, but you have also been in different locations, as you say, like you were in Hawaii, you've been in New York City as well. So you get like this global perception, and I think that pageants overall in North America. I mean, I live in Canada, and like the hype around here is like non-existent, like people don't really take them into consideration that much. But the contrast with a country such as the Philippines is just so major. And I see like a lot of potential and a lot of purpose in pageantry. uh, and sometimes I wonder, like, how can we bring that to North America as well, like, especially in a country like Canada, where it's just dead. It's not an industry that really thrives here.
Right. And well, I comes from, based on my personal background, I think it also has to do a lot with the brand that we present to the public. Pageantry in other countries may be accepted differently based on the country that, they're from, but it's also about showing the benefits that pageantry can provide to, government organizations, the organizational charities, or the corporate environments, because that's what the Philippines has done so well in terms of pageantry so far, is that, we've, if you can see alone for this year's Miss Universe Philippines pageant, we have so many sponsors coming from all landscapes. And just by being able to show the pros and what can be done through passionate and powerful ladies, then I think that we'd be able to shift the mindset for other countries as well to hopefully do the same.
Yes, I agree with you. Okay, so I have a question here that I've seen it a few times during the live stream, so I'll just bring it up. Um, so Blackpink in your area is asking, is physical beauty important in Miss Universe? This is like an open conversation that has been happening for the past few years, but what is your take on it?
Well, we call our pageants beauty pageants for a reason. And if physical beauty was not important, I don't think any of us would be wearing makeup right now. But I do. I'd hope you'd laugh at that. But
Yes, for sure.
it's definitely it's definitely a factor. I mean, it's human nature that people or human beings look for points of beauty. So it's a factor because, we're human beings. That's what we look for. But is it the only thing that is important? No, because
Yes.
we have so much more to offer as women and stand for. So that's my answer to that.
Absolutely. And I think that sometimes, I mean, as we said, like, I feel like the future of pageantry, the way that I perceive it, is that we're moving away a little bit from so much like the physical aspect of a pageant, but really going more towards the purpose and the empowerment and what it represents, the opportunity that it gives women in general. And of course, there's always going to be the physical aspect of it, because at the end of the day, it is a competition. It is part of being in a pageant. So, but that doesn't mean that it cannot be um, an inclusive event for women of all types, of like all body types and backgrounds, to come together and celebrate, what being a woman of purpose means, and being an empowered woman. So thank you for sharing your take on that.
Yes.
Let me see. Okay, so I see like some questions as well about body shaming and all of that, which of course I think it falls into the same category for this question. Um, okay, this is a very interesting one. Once again, by ES asking, there is a stereotype in the Philippines that if you speak English fluently, you are intelligent. How would you react on it?
I highly disagree with this statement because I've met so many people that can't speak English fluently but are more intelligent than myself beyond compare. And I can give an example to this. This was when I visited the indigenous tribe in my province, in the municipality of Kalinog. And I had the wonderful opportunity to meet this person who exemplifies the true meaning of their tribe's culture, and he's actually a culture bearer for their tribe, and someone that really carries on the culture from the young generation up until the generations to come. And fun fact, his voice was used in the instrumental making for our tourism video, and when he started his chant, I was absolutely blown away because I've never heard anything like it. I've gotten chills. And he knows so much about the Philippines, and he's actually a scholar at the University of the Philippines. And his English is not perfect, but his wisdom is beyond compare. So yes, you can be intelligent without speaking English fluently, and there are so many opportunities without English in its own right. You just need to possess the values that you want to portray to the people that you're speaking to, and
Yeah.
as long as you just get your message across, that's important.
Absolutely, I agree with you. That's something that I mention sometimes here on the channel, especially, of course, now we're talking about the context of like national, a national competition. But when it goes international, I feel like the pressure is even bigger because international audiences want to be on the same page and they want to understand, and the go-to language is English. But I always think, someone who doesn't speak English on an everyday, uh, an, like on an everyday basis, they might struggle a little bit to communicate in English, but if they had the opportunity to say it in their native tongue, they might be able to express it so much better, and you might be able to learn so much from them. So that's not something that we should disregard as well.
Absolutely.
All right. So I just want to thank everyone for sending all of the questions. I wish that I could just go through all of them, but our time is limited, of course, and I don't want to take too much of yours, Vanessa. So I just have
um,
one last question for you, okay?
oh
I
gosh,
think.
I have a feeling I know what this question
Okay, this is a very important one. If I don't ask this question, like I'm probably canceled after this interview. So let me ask you, Vanessa Caro, why should you be the next Miss Universe Philippines?
I think it's time that Filipinos recognize that, beauty just doesn't come in one form or shape. And I know that Filipinos recognize this, but it's really time that we start to grasp on the fact that, we are well rounded individuals that look to serve each other. And for me, that's for the Filipinos. And there's no better way to put my stance here in this pageant than to just say that, I've always wanted to serve the Filipino people. I've always wanted to put the Filipinos, their culture, their values, everything that they stand for on a daily basis at the forefront of my actions and everything that I've carried out, during this time in my lifetime. And as someone who moved to the Philippines, not just not appreciating our culture, not understanding anything, I've been able to organically accept and recognize that Filipinos are so special, and that, we need to advocate for our country more. We need to be proud of who we are. And there's no better way to do that personally for myself than to hopefully become Miss Universe Philippines and fight for everything that we stand for.
Please, everyone, just bring the crown now. Give it to her. Vanessa, oh my God, what can I tell you? I mean, it has been such a pleasure and honor to have you here on the channel. I'm going to admit, in the very beginning of the interview, I was so nervous. Even when I met you, like before we went live, I was a little starstruck because I've just been planning this moment for so long, and to finally have you here is honestly
Really?
an honor. Yes.
Oh, thank you so much, Louis. I really enjoyed this interview. Like I always say, we feel like we're sharing our story, but what we don't realize as delegates is that we're getting so much more from your channel than we expect because you also give us so much wisdom and insight. And I think that's what also differentiates you in this industry as well. And we really appreciate all the content that you give. It's so genuine, it's so authentic, and it's so thoughtful because everything you say really resonates not just with Filipinos, but also on an international landscape. So thank you for everything that you do for.
Everyone, I'm just gonna start crying now on a live interview.
He's
No,
going to
just
cry.
kidding. But honestly, once again, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. We wish you nothing but the absolute best in the upcoming competitions. You're going to rock this. So please just make sure to enjoy the experience, and for the rest, just putting it into the universe, manifesting it, and it's gonna happen.
And before we end, Louis, I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who tuned in to our live stream and my friends, my supporters, my family, all around the world. Just thank you so much. Let's keep going. Let's keep pushing forward. Let's keep fighting for each other, and let's be the best versions of ourselves every day. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone, so much for staying with us until the end, for all the love and support. And please don't forget to vote for Vanessa now that it really matters. Please tell us where can they find you on social media and what is the best way to support you now during the last part of the competition.
Yes, absolutely. So you can find me on social media, on Instagram, especially at the Pinay at Heart. If you want to follow me on Kumu, you can follow me at MUPH Vanessa. And you can also support me by voting for me for Miss Communiverse, which is going to be announced, I believe, on the final pageant night. And there's also going to be voting on the Lazada app. So please go ahead and follow my Instagram account and my social media accounts just so that you can learn more on how to support me as well. I'm also going to be doing a My Nation talk tomorrow with the My Nation organization together with Miss Universe Philippines. So we're going to be talking about awareness and mental health. So please stay tuned as well.
Absolutely. Really looking forward to that. And please, guys, don't forget to go and support. That's really the most important part. And just before we go, as usual, just sending you all so much love, so much positivity. Same to you, Vanessa. You got this in the bag, and I'll be in touch. Rooting for you, and just hope that all of your dreams and your goals come true after this competition. Thank you once again.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Take care, and I'll see you soon with more videos. This is the last interview for Miss Universe Philippines, but it's been a great one. So I'm closing this chapter with a happy heart.
Yes.
All right,
Kudos to
perfect.
you, Louis.
Thank you, thank you. All right, everyone. Please take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye, kisses.